Capcom.
This is the tournament for the new millennium. You'll experience the most exciting battle in history. Let's get ready to battle. Feel the intensity when power and technique collide. Crush the competition. A battle beyond your imagination. Let the martial arts madness begin. 2001 is the year we make contact. Welcome to the revolution.
Capcom Vs SNK 2. Millionaire Fighting 2001.
Hello and welcome to another Boroshin's Retrospectives, this time covering Capcom Vs SNK 2 Millionaire Fighting 2001, released in 2001 for the Sega Naomi, Sega Dreamcast, PS2 and then later the Xbox and the GameCube. This is one of my favourite fighting games of all time, I think. Probably top 5. Not that I'm particularly good at it. I played this basically when I was about 8 years old. This was one of the first couple fighting games that I really played, and I had already played some SNK games, but this was one of the games that made me go, wow, like, Capcom characters were really, like, the thing that I knew, but, Jesus, I was blown away by half of the SNK characters for how cool they were and whatnot. This game is fantastic. If you haven't played it, please play it. If you can get an official copy of it, go ahead. Otherwise, I know they're not selling it on modern day hardware, so I think actually under UK law, it's totally fine for you to emulate it. So in that case, I'd suggest Redream as an emulator for it, as suggested to me by James Culhane of my local, and it's a fantastic emulator. Works very, very well and has a very nice interface. Anyway, I'm going to get into this because there's a lot to talk about with this game. I'm going to talk about the mechanics first, how the game works and whatnot. CVS2 is essentially a slightly updated version of CVS1. I shouldn't say slightly, massively updated version. It has entirely different UI and everything. But it expands on a lot of the things that CVS1 was attempting to do, and just does all of them better. There are two main mechanics to the game. One is the groove system, and one is the ratio system. The groove system, as you would have seen, there are 6 grooves in the game that you have to pick before you even pick your character. C, A, P, S, N, K. So Capcom and SNK. These grooves are essentially ways of playing the game that are based on different Capcom and SNK games. Different fighting games that they've made. With some minor exceptions. And they basically dictate how your character, what your characters have as system mechanics. So it's like imagining if you say you were playing, as an example, Street Fighter 5, and you just had a way of picking between having a V trigger and, oh, I'm going to have focus system from Street Fighter 4. It's almost like that. So, for example, I am using N-Groove. N-Groove is based on King of Fighters 97 onward, and it's basically like you're playing KOF. So you have rolls, only forward rolls in this game, but you have rolling. You have the 3-bar system. You have max mode, which I went into there with Geese and did Raging Storm, which allows you to essentially do a level 3 super when you've only got 2 bars, or only use 2 bars. It's got hops, so it basically allows you to play the game like it's KOF 97 onward, right? But this is fantastic because it means that you can play Capcom characters in an SNK style, you can play SNK characters in a Capcom style, and it's super fun. It's so great. So like Capcom, the C groove is essentially Alpha 2-ish, well actually Alpha, the Alpha system of having the multi-level super meter. So you've got level 1, level 2, level 3. Very simple. It's like basically the beginner groove because it's just so simple. It's really good as well. C groove is nothing to be messed with. It actually has DHCs as well. You can actually essentially do super into super. It only works on certain supers, but you can do it. But it also has air blocking, much like Alpha does. It has dashing, has all sorts of things. It does also happen to have rolls in it. Capcom did seem, at least slightly, to realise that their grooves, if they didn't include some of the SNK mechanics, would be a bit rubbish. So they decided that they would throw in some, like, rolling is in both C and A groove, despite the fact in Alpha I don't remember being able to roll as a universal mechanic. But yes, you can do rolls, much like you can in all of the S and N groove. A groove is Alpha again, but it's custom combos, which is very fun. Has air blocking, etc. P groove is based on Street Fighter 3 and has parrying, and is not very good because the parries aren't nearly as good as they were in Street Fighter 3. Still, they're useful, but not as good. It's still good fun to play around with, but at a high level. You won't see people using P groove very often. S groove is classic SNK, so it has a meter where you have to charge it up by holding buttons down, and it also has unlimited supers when you're low on life, which is very fun to play around with, and it has spot dodge, much like old KOF. And then K groove, which is the only groove I haven't talked about, is a blending of Samurai Showdown and Goro Mark of the Wolves. So it's got the rage gauge from Samurai Showdown, where if you take damage, it eventually fills up. It takes a while to fill up, but once you're at maximum, you're dealing more damage, and you can cash out for like a level 3 super. And then it's also got Just Defend from Goro Mark of the Wolves. So if you block on the last frame, you can do this in the air as well. You'll do like just a really quick block that puts you in less block stun, and also builds quite a lot of that rage gauge, so it's really useful. It's a really nice groove. I do enjoy playing with it. You'll notice I've tried to, in this Boroshin retrospective, tried to play with a couple of different teams with different grooves, just to show you. I didn't exactly use all the system mechanics that those grooves entail, but I was just trying to have a bit of fun while I was playing. But I tried to give you a little bit of variety where that's concerned, and also show you some of the amazing sprite work in this game. As you would see, the SNK characters drawn by Capcom are just gorgeous. Rugal here, for example, is perhaps my favourite looking version of Rugal ever, and that takes a lot, because he actually wears the coat and everything, which makes him look absolutely amazing, and he's just fantastic to watch and animates beautifully. He also actually is quite good in that he's not bad. He feels pretty decent. Whereas actually, where he has been a playable legal character in SNK games, he's actually really bad. Anyway, back to the mechanics. The ratio system. This allows another level of strategy. This is how the game is played competitively. Basically, as you may have noticed, this is a team-based fighting game, but you can play it literally with one character. The way this works is you have 4 ratio points, and you have to distribute this amongst your team, but you can change the number of members. You can go between 1 and 3 members. So if you play one character, you will use all 4 ratio points on your one character. If you choose 2 characters, you could do it that it's 2-2, it's a 2-2 split, or you could do it be a 3-1 split. And then if you're using 3 characters, you have to do a 2-1-1 split, because you have to use a ratio point on every character. Basically, the ratio system makes it so that the more ratio points a character has, the more health and damage they do. So you can use one character, and that character's going to hit fucking hard. They're going to really... Like, if you play Haomaru from Samurai Shodown and do standing heavy punch on a ratio 1 character, and it counter hits, does like half health. It is hard hitting. I do enjoy playing ratio 4. It's genuinely quite a lot of fun. It's not competitive because you're not covering as many matchups potentially, because if you use more characters, you can cover more matchups and be more prepared for all sorts of different scenarios. But it's still good fun. There was people that played ratio 4. In tournament, I have seen it. Like a ratio for 1 character. But yeah, it's a really nice system, and it allows characters to basically allows you to very much customize your team. So in CVS 1, characters were locked into fixed ratios. So characters were, this is a ratio 2 character, this is a ratio 3 character. So if you wanted to play, what is it, Bison, I think Bison was a ratio 4, and you just had to play Bison on his own. I think. I can't remember. There was characters that were ratio 4s and there was characters that were ratio 3s and stuff. They were locked. And it kind of sucked because it meant that you had to specifically pick characters based on their ratios. It was a bit boring, really. Whereas in this game, you can pick willy-nilly. The only thing you can't do in this game that you can do in CVS 1 is you can pick 4 ratio 1s, I think, in CVS 1, which you can't do here. But yeah, the ratio system is really cool. Allows you to customize it. Customize your characters how you like. Now, this is an interesting thing. Obviously, this game isn't balanced because no old fighting game is, no modern fighting game is really. I mean, we get close, but it's impossible to be a completely balanced fighting game without just being a one-character game. This is a game which is a rarity in the sense that a bug made it more balanced. An unintended thing actually made the game more balanced. This is very rare because usually bugs in fighting games usually make certain characters like really weak or something. A good example of that would be T-Zok in Garo Mark of the Wolves, where there's a bug which basically makes it so that characters become unthrowable for a while, and T-Zok, a character that heavily relies on command grabs, turns out makes him a bit rubbish because he can't grab them. Now in this game, the bug in question is roll cancelling. Basically, during the first 3 frames of a roll, if you happen to do a special move, you're obviously trying to do a special move, the special move will come out, but it will apply the invincibility of the roll to your special move. So essentially, imagine, for example, you're playing Blanca, and you do roll into Blanca Ball. The Blanca Ball, if you've done it correctly, will be invincible for about 17 to 23 frames. It depends on the character. I can't remember how many frames it is. But as you can see, that's pretty strong. It's pretty good. It's not bad. And because this is a system-wide thing, it means that characters can compete with each other better because they all have this. They can all make essentially specials that shouldn't have invincibility invincible. And that's pretty cool, I think. So yeah, it's a weird thing that's only with this game. I don't know many other fighting games where bugs make characters stronger. It definitely has happened, but it's a rarity when it works across the cast. Like, it's such a system-wide bug. And the funny thing being is that Capcom, the Xbox and GameCube versions, are an updated version called CVS2 EO. They removed roll cancelling. They essentially had bug fixes in there. I think it had a few balance adjustments, but there's bug fixes. No one plays that version competitively because it doesn't make the game more balanced, ironically. It actually makes it slightly worse because of the fact that the characters that are weak are weaker because they can't do that kind of thing anymore. But yeah, interesting little tidbit for you there. Now, let's talk about the characters in this game. So, this game, CVS2 did add quite a few extra characters that CVS1 didn't have. But I'm just going to go across the entire roster. The one criticism of this game that I do see is that it's called CVS2 when it really should be called Street Fighter vs KOF featuring a few others. Because for the vast majority of the characters are Street Fighter and KOF characters. Now, KOF itself is a crossover series, so you can argue SNK's side is like, oh, there's an Art of Fighting character and a Fatal Fury character, but they're all in KOF, so I'm not really gonna. Now, the SNK side actually has quite a few different ones because it has Samurai Shodown characters, it has Last Blade characters, had like Rock, who hadn't been in KOF at that point by any means. Now, there was a few that they added in CVS2, and this I think was an attempt because of CVS1 being literally Street Fighter vs KOF, to add in characters that were a bit obscure. So, in the case of Capcom, for example, you've got Eagle on the screen. Eagle from Street Fighter 1. Now, sure, that's still Street Fighter, but we've never been able to play Eagle before, so it's really cool. I love Eagle. He's very weird. He's a very weird character to play. I'd really like to see him come back in Street Fighter 5, if possible. But it's one of those things of he's at least an interesting character choice. They've got Morrigan using a sprite from 1994 and looks well out of place considering the beautiful sprite work on all the SNK characters done by Capcom, as well as the updated sprites for like Ryu, Ken, Akuma, Dan, and M. Bison. It's unusual seeing a character with such a lower quality. But you had characters. I can't remember his name. I've just forgotten his name. Kyosuke? I think. No, I think I've got that way wrong. From Rival Schools is in this, which is nice because that's a 3D fighting game, and he didn't have a 2D sprite before, so it's quite cool. You had like Maki from Final Fight was in this, which is pretty awesome to be honest. And you had like there's one Street Fighter 3 representative, well, one like original Street Fighter 3 character. You have Yun. Yun shows up, which is nice. Chun-Li is using her like Street Fighter 3, like an edited version of her Street Fighter 3 sprite, but as the one solo Street Fighter 3 representative, you have Yun. On the SNK side, like I've said, you had Samurai Shodown characters, Last Blade characters, lots of KOF characters, but overall the roster's strong. It's actually, looking back at the game, there are certain characters that I find odd in their omission. Particularly on the SNK side. For example, on the Capcom side, you've got characters. You've got everyone from base Street Fighter 2 is in there, which makes sense because they're all well-loved characters. But it's unusual seeing, for example, you've got Dowson, but essentially SNK's Dowson is missing. You don't have Billy Kane. Billy Kane isn't it, which he would have worked quite well. Certain characters I can understand. For example, there are no Ikari warriors in this game, which is unusual because they're KOF mainstays. I can understand why they wouldn't put Clark, and I noticed also the omission of Daimon because of the fact of the way they work. They put in like Vice, but Vice is less reliant on command grabs, even though she is a grappler, and I love Vice in this game particularly. Because of the way SNK characters work with command grabs where they can combo into them, it would be very hard to do Clark or Daimon when you couldn't combo into their grabs because it's literally it's fundamental to their kit, and you don't do that in Capcom games. It just doesn't happen. It happens all the time in SNK games, so that might be why they omitted them. Billy Kane, though, I don't understand really because he would have made a really cool character to play in this game. But yeah. Overall, the game's fantastic. It just works really, really well. Stage-wise, I love the stages. I absolutely adore the soundtrack. I absolutely adore it. This is True Love We're Making, Stimulation, the New York stage theme. Shanghai stage is fantastic. As you may have noticed, if you've been watching the backgrounds closely, there's lots of cameo appearances of characters. Particularly love it. You've got like characters, really obscure characters showing up. Billy actually shows up in the background of the London stage because he is English. He's from London. You've got like I can't remember his name from Art of Fighting 3. The businessman, Carmen, the businessman from Art of Fighting 3 is talking to Elena. Elena's shopping. Like Elena's wearing her like street gear and shopping in London. Rose shows up. In the Shanghai stage with the revolving platform, you've got Shenko from Darkstalkers, Power Stone characters, Edward Falcon and Leona are standing on top of the trucks in the Nairobi stage, where you've got all the dirt racing going on, or sand racing I should say. It's in sand, it's like a rally. It's a rally stage. I love this final stage, in the ring. I think this is really cool. You'll notice in the background it says like the Masters Foundation and the Garcia Concern. So the tournament is technically funded by Robert Garcia's financial thing, and Ken Masters is association thing, which is quite a cool little crossover. And as you'll also see, I did get challenged by Rugal at the end of it because of my GP score. The GP score above the thing is just an arcade mode thing. I didn't get challenged by God Rugal or anything like that. But that's just because I'm not good. I'm not playing the arcade mode how you need to play it in order to get that. You need to get lots of like super wins and shit like that. Basically, you have to get, I can't remember how many GP you have to get challenged by Shinakuma or God Regal. But yeah, generally, I adore this game. I absolutely love it. It is very strict on its inputs. That's one thing I noticed as I played the game again. Particularly strict. Just doing doing double half circles and things like that is not easy. Which you may notice I have been dropping combos and things like that. This is me just being probably a bit rubbish, but what is it? It isn't easy. It might be the emulator, I don't know, but I don't think it is. But yeah, it is a fantastic game. I love it. It's not without its flaws, of course, particularly the roster being so SNK KOF heavy. There's like, it would have been nice in this game to have like a Metal Slug character, things like that. Capcom, like, where's the Resident Evil? Like if you compare it to like Marvel vs Capcom 2, where you have characters that are a lot crazier, like Mega Man and things like that. I understand why the game's so Street Fighter and KOF heavy, because it's a very Street Fighter KOF game in terms of how it plays. Marvel vs Capcom is far more crazy in terms of how it plays, so you can have characters with big projectiles and things, so Mega Man works, and the Marvel superheroes work. Whereas with Capcom vs SNK, they kind of make it more a standard fighting game, a very traditional fighting game. But overall, yeah, still one of my favourite fighting games ever made. We'll probably not get another one, at least for a long... I mean, it's been a long time. It's been 18 years, which is kind of mental when you think about it. But it has been like 18 years since this game came out, and it still holds up. It really does. It's incredibly deep. So much stuff to discover, so many combos and things. And look at this, like, these custom intros. There are so many of these. Go, if you haven't seen this, go and look at all of the Capcom vs SNK 2 special intros. All of the special things between Capcom and, like, that was an SNK interaction, but the stuff like where you've got Bison versus Iori, and they actually like fight each other, and Rugal versus like geese and shit. It's so cool, honestly. There's so much cool stuff. Ken chucking Terry his hat is pretty awesome, all things considered. But yeah, I love this game. I hope you've enjoyed this. It's quite a long one. I should do more of these. I do enjoy making them. They're not. I know they're not like crazily edited or anything. It's just me talk. Basically, it's me rambling about a fight game for 20 minutes. If you enjoy that, one probably should check your sanity. But I like the fact people seem to like them. So I shall continue making them. I know CVS2 has requested one. What I will do next, I have no idea, but I will definitely do one a lot quicker than I have between this, because I think it's been a year and a half since I've done one. As you can see, this is pretty cool because it hints at the fact that there's more to be discovered. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.